We have a dynamic panel ready to empower each of you as voters. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our amazing moderator, radio personality, and host of the Don P. Radio Show, and the only Don P. here in New Orleans.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for having me, giving me an opportunity to be a part of this conversation and expect my expertise in this particular situation. Second of all, I want to thank you guys for creating an opportunity to have this type of conversation. Last but not least, I want to thank everybody in this room, because oftentimes on the radio, I hear people talk and complain about things that are happening in our community, but most of the time it seems like it's a lot of talk, never a lot of action that's put behind it. And so to me, this is a motivating moment, because it shows me that there are people out there that is not just talking, but willing to put together opportunities that we can make change. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for having me. I expect for us to have a great conversation. We will engage the audience, and I want the audience to know, be involved, participate in this conversation. This is not you come and look at us and watch us talk like this is a show. This is a conversation where we want to engage important talking points to meet our agenda of the evening. With that being said, thank you, and I want to welcome everybody for a great evening of conversation about the importance of voting. All right, and for everyone that's in the room, one of the things that I want you to do is make sure that you look on your seat. There is a QR code on your seat. Use that QR code on your seat so that it can help us with our engagement and participation. Thank you so much. All right, at this time, we're going to start this off by announcing the people that's on the panel. All right, first up, Program Manager of the Power Coalition. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Yas Monique Hookfin. Our next panelist, Youth Voter Engagement, Young Fierce Citizens. Please, put your hands together and show some love for Bernicia Frith. Our next panelist is the Chief Policy Analyst for Vote. Please show some love for Ronald Marshall. Our next panelist, this young lady right here, may not need as big of an introduction. She's done a lot of things around the city. Put your hands together and show some love for the one and only Morg. This brother right here, I've had the opportunity to work with him in radio. He's also been involved in politics. Please show you some love and put your hands together for Kevin Griffin Clark. Last but definitely not least, I can't say enough about this brother and the way he's stepped up and inspired so many people to get involved in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Sis45, Executive Director of 200 Male Leaders. All right, and at this point in time, I'm going to pass this mic down to you guys and let you use this mic, and I'll step over into the moderator's chair, and we'll go ahead and get this thing started. All right, first off, we're going to start off with one question for each panelist, and this question will be focused on their area of expertise, and it'll give us an opportunity to get to know each panelist a little bit better and a little bit more about what they do. All right, and I'll start off with Brother Ron Marshall. Again, he is the Chief Policy Analyst for Vote, Voice of the Experience. The question that I'll ask to Mr. Ronald, what are the current voting rights for individuals with a criminal history, including distinctions between felony charges and convictions, probation, and system.
I appreciate the question. How y'all doing, everybody? So Act 636 is the law that restored the right to vote to almost 400,000 formerly incarcerated men and women in the state of Louisiana. And how the law works is that if you're on parole for 5 or more years, you can vote. You just have to register and vote. If you're on probation, no matter how many years, you can vote. If you serve a significant number of time in prison or insignificant number of time in prison, and you're released and you're not on parole and you're not on probation, you can vote. If you're incarcerated in pretrial detention, that means that you have not been convicted yet, you can vote by absentee ballot. But the law requires that the person who is in pretrial detention must first have already voted once in their life in person before they're able to vote by absentee ballot. And we was trying to change that law this year by streamlining the process. So if a person's incarcerated in pretrial detention and they haven't voted in person for the first time, we was trying to pass a law that didn't require them to vote in person for the first time. They could vote by absentee ballot, but the law failed in the committee by a majority vote, but we're going to bring it back next year. But that's the distinction between parole, probation, and you got 380,000 people in the state of Louisiana who are eligible to vote. I'm talking about formerly incarcerated men and women. 380,000, and we call that number the sleepy giant. And we're trying to wake them people up because we need their voice, we need their vote. If we can get them to the polls, this state would be blue. If we can get them 380,000 people to the polls, we would turn the state blue. And another thing you have to know, there are like 19 different parishes with like 15,000. They got 25,000 in Orleans Parish, 9,000 in Washita, another 27,000 in Lafayette. These are people who are eligible to vote, but they're not registered to vote. And we did the numbers earlier this month. They got almost 600,000 people in the state of Louisiana who are not even registered to vote. So we got to get out to vote. We have to get out. It's mandatory we get out to vote for both formerly incarcerated people and those people who've never been incarcerated. Thank you.
And Brother Ruller, I'm going to come back to you because I got a little bit ahead of myself. Could you briefly describe your organization and why that information is important and why you have access to that type of information?
VOTE stands for Voice of the Experience. That's the C3 arm. And VOTE is organized to educate the C4 arm. On the C3 side, what we do is direct lobbying, grassroots lobbying. And we change policies on the C3 side. We get out the vote on the C3 side, but on the C4 side, we're able to run election cycles. We're able to endorse candidates. And vote is significant because there was a time when we was incarcerated, that was not an organization to put a voice inside that state house to represent the voice and cover incarcerated people. VOTE is that voice now. And I love this organization because I did 25 years in prison. And I saw the criminal code of procedure go from this small to that thick with punitive laws in a matter of 20 years. And just this year alone, all the strides we made over the year with VOTE being in that state house, Jeff Landry's administration rolled back 20 years of progress in 9 days. 9 days. And why is it so significant? Why it's so significant? This is going to be the first time that Louisiana is going to be out without parole. Good time. The same ingredients that gave rise to the Attica uprising is currently present in Louisiana's Department of Corrections today. So don't be surprised if you turn on that television and that prison system has erupted in violence. It's already starting. I get calls a lot about knife attacks, increases in knives and inmate to inmate and inmate to correctional. It's starting right now. And everybody going to the system after August 1st of this year will be without parole or good time or no way out of prison.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to my man Kevin Griffin Clark. Real quickly, before we jump into your first question, I want to give you an opportunity to tell people about yourself and a little bit about your organization and the work that you're currently doing.
Peace, everyone. My name is Kevin Griffin Clark, born and bred New Orleanian, 7 Wall St. Bernard, 3820 Gibson Street. You know, I like to let that be known. But the name of my organization is We Got Work to Do Inc., but also have a political working on, which is Gibson and Milton Consultant. So we do a lot of work. We've done work in 24 states so far in the U.S. When it comes down to either political or education advocacy, as well as direct political working on campaigns. So that's kind of some of the work we do. Also own a company, Civics for the People, with a good brother of mine, Gary Chambers, where we go around the country as well, educating our peers, educating our elders and our children on civics and this political process.
Definitely, man, and thank you for your work and the service that you've done for the community. My question to you is, seeing the efforts in multi-state elections, what approach would you highly recommend to counter the efforts of Project 2025 going forward?
When I talk to majority of the candidates that I deal with, one of the first things I ask them, what does your ground game look like? And door to door is serious. It is game changing in a lot of different ways. If you can hit those doors and really get to the people and have a meaningful conversation, you can get them to damn to do anything that you want. And especially if you are someone of good stature and good standards. And so a lot of times with door to door, you are educating people on your candidacy or the candidacy of the person that you are working for. And so with this situation, we are now having to educate our peers and neighbors on the potential tragedy of what could be Project 2025. And please understand, I use the word potential very, very loosely, because as my OG just said, like a lot of the stuff that is in Project 2025 is already worked itself into a lot of these purple and red states, as we are here in Louisiana. A lot of Trump's little henchmen, i.e. Jeff Landry, are already implementing these policies. And so we're a little bit behind, but black people, we fast. So there ain't no, being behind ain't necessarily the worst thing for us. It is a great story to tell that if you were once behind and having a victory. So I think having a very good ground game.
Definitely, I like that answer. All right, well, let's move over to Moore, and we're going to talk a little bit about Bike and Vote. She is the founder of Bike and Vote. I failed to mention that earlier, so I want to reiterate that and give her a round of applause for her efforts in Bike and Vote.
Thank you.
So, Moore, if you could, please tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Bike and Vote and what it's all about.
I'm Morgan Walker. I am an entrepreneur here in New Orleans, and I also am the founder of Bike and Vote. And Bike and Vote started just simply providing free bikes during early voting in the city of New Orleans. And, doing that, we realized that was, a way to get the community involved, hold each other accountable. And now over time, 3 years later, we're in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana, Chalmette, Louisiana, and Shreveport, Louisiana. So, we're not only mobilizing across the state, but we've also added arms like informing voters because we realized, okay, people are like, yeah, I'll come vote with you. And then it's more questions. So our organization is definitely in the business of bridging those gaps between young people and all those questions. So we began to create panels and create creative ways to get young people informed. And that's when we began to partner with organizations like Power Coalition to start providing resources to the community before we mobilize them to the polls. So that's pretty much what Bike and Vote is doing now. And like I said, we're a fairly new organization, a small organization. So we're just doing the work on the ground. And as we continue to like just engage the young people, and we just want to continue to fill those gaps. Like they always have so many questions, and that just motivates me to keep creating new ideas and new innovative ways to get them out and get them civically engaged.
All right, man, we love it, we love it. Give her a round of applause. All right, my question for you, having a background, I think your background and foundation was in nightlife, entertainment mostly. What was that pivotal moment or inspiration that made you want to decide to get into politics and civics?
Well, I mean, I've always been an avid voter, thanks to my parents and things like that. But I honestly wasn't really like paying attention. I knew that, I had to go vote and things like that. But I think what really shifted my mindset was COVID and, just being in nightlife and marketing, doing digital marketing and advertising. And I was asked to work on a campaign and just seeing how they just kind of always would say, young people don't get out. It was just kind of like that. Like, well, y'all not even, marketing to us or like trying to target us. So it's like, how we supposed to know the information? So I think I'm like, I can make a big difference because I have that, that following. And I'm like, I know if I could bring 1,000 people out to a party, it's like I can at least get 10% of them to care about what's going on in the community. And over time, like, we're seeing the impact from that as far as even registering voters and getting young people out to vote. Like I said, just keep being creative and keep engaging them really, because it's not too many organizations that's really trying to engage them and meeting them where they are. And we're on socials, we're at events and different things like that. So I just want to continue to do that.
Man, good answer. Love it. All right, next up we have Bernicia and her organization. I'm going to reiterate it one more time. Youth Voter Engagement Coordinator, and it's Young Fierce Citizens. Tell us a little bit about your organization, a little bit about yourself and you guys' agenda.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you all for being here. Oh, thank you. Like you said, I'm Brian-Isha Frith. I am born here in New Orleans, uptown, Third Ward area. I wear many hats, and I hate to be as elaborate as I'm about to be, but here we go. I am a full-time student in my graduate program for clinical mental health counseling with the focus in mindfulness-based transpersonal psychology. And I also do a lot of work. I'm an entrepreneur as well with my own private practice. It's called New Reiki LLC, which is I deal with healing people energetically. But one of my, the reason why I'm here essentially is because I am a youth voter engagement coordinator here at YFC at Ashe Cultural Arts Center. And the focus of what we do is we're a capacity building organization that deals with elevating the voices of the youth and getting them involved and engaged in the civic and political process by any means necessary. Oftentimes that looks like creating workshops, peer influence, storytelling, and really understanding at a very in-depth standpoint as to why the youth are kind of taking a back seat into politics and encouraging them to just be who they are, right, with as many expressions as possible, and then to shift the narrative, right, around what it is that they can do. Because oftentimes most young people, myself included, feel ostracized, right, or not important in these type of processes. So, yeah.
Definitely. So my question to you is, the current stereotypical narrative is that young people don't care about politics, young people are not voting. With that being said, my question to you is, how would you gauge your success in getting young people involved in the voting process, and what things have you guys been able to do that you had success with to get those guys involved?
Okay, thank you for the question. I believe that the work that we do is extremely instrumental. And I also understand that with the work comes setbacks. So we haven't been as effective in reaching a broad audience, or like the youth. But we have been involved in interactive workshops with different organizations like Pathways, Vote. We sit at round tables at Vote, and we really just are having the conversations as to how do we initiate the conversation as to what is it that they need, right? How can we empower them to express their disinterest, right, in the political process, while also giving them the power to decide that this is important, and also hearing them when they say they don't resonate with what is happening, you know? So, yeah. I hope that answers the question.
No, it does. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. All right. We'll move on to our next panelist. Yas Monique, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your organization and the work that you're currently doing.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Yasmini Hookfin, project manager with the Power Coalition. We're a C3 organization. We're statewide, so we work all over the state. So I'm specifically based in New Orleans. But a little bit by myself before I start talking about my organization. Firstly, I'm a mom, and I always start with that because that's the reason for everything that I do. And I have a black son. I was in education, and I did this work, meaning organizing, with one of our other partners in Vela, New Orleans, and I found that, you know, doing both things, I'm still educating in both ways, just in different ways. You know, when I'm at school, you know, educating my students, and, you know, then I'm, on the other hand, educating adults or young adults about things that matter. And what I found in my transition, because I've been with the Power Coalition for about a little over a year, I want to say that I definitely had some guilt in the beginning of my transition, but I want to say just in my experience and within my year, my experience has definitely been grounding, and I'm still okay, meaning I miss educating kids and things like that, but I'm still filling the void because I'm educating other folks in a newer way, a different way, just educating on, you know, voting and, you know, things that, you know, we need to know, not as just Louisiana voters, but black voters as well. But so far as the Power Coalition, we are a C3 organization. We take pride in voter education, voter registration. The goal is to definitely advocate on policy, surrounding policies so far as maternal health, early education, work with the formerly incarcerated persons, such as we work with Vote. They're one of our grounding partners as well. Work around climate and environmental justice, basically just about even work with reproductive justice, all avenues and things that affects us in our everyday life. We definitely come out, we canvass, we phone bank, basically do everything in which way we can to get out the vote. We definitely have get out the vote campaigns all year. So this is not something that we do just around election time, even though Louisiana always has an election, but this is something that we do all year round, every day, 365. And like I said, you know, the goal is to, you know, as, you know, Morgan said, just bridge that gap between, you know, legislature and community. Community is definitely what we base our values about, because, you know, not only do we advocate for the community, we live, you know, within our communities all over the state. You know, we have people in, like myself, in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, so other places. So we have to tap in. We mainly, you know, dedicate our work to people of color, you know, not specifically black people, but people of color.
Definitely, man. Thank you for the work that you guys do. My question to you, when you think about policy, there are so many different policies and so many different issues that the everyday average citizen has. How does your organization decide which policy you guys are going to focus on and what is going to be the strategy that you attack that particular policy?
Okay, that's a perfect question just because we're the power coalition. We can't do it alone. So we definitely use, work with other partners, like I said, such as Vote, Morgan, and other different organizations surrounding like Housing, Nola, Housing Louisiana, other organizations to basically group together and come together to see, okay, so what is affecting us? What is going on? Look at the different policies and really have a full list of every single policy that affects us, and not only just people of color, but affects us as citizens, as a state, because we have a lot of policies that go against, so, such as like voting laws and things like that. New bills are being passed that affects us on a day-to-day basis. And like I said, we're fighting not just for other people, we're fighting for ourselves. It's important that we educate folks because you'll be surprised how many people are not as educated as you would think. And I say that and humbly because even still doing this work, we're still learning. There's still ways, like you said, so far as like strategies. It's during this past legislative session, it was a ride. It was a ride from January to May. It was a ride, and we really was at the Capitol, like advocating. Like I said, we were advocating every day at the Capitol. We had other partners there advocating for things. So it's not necessarily, and like I said, we do work around criminal justice, environmental justice, early education and things like that. So all of those things are a matter. All of those things are a priority. So whichever policies they have going on, we figure it out and we work through it with all of our partners. And we, like I said, the goal is to mobilize and to educate folks. So that way, okay, this is what's going on. Like I said, I always tell people, it's like a telephone game. To tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, because this is what you need to know. And what you do with that information is up to you. But at the same time, I'm going to make you responsible because now you know.
All right, great answer. And just to get a little bit more clarity, I'll do a little follow-up with that just to kind of make sure that we understand this. So with you guys' organization, the way that you look, the way that you decide which policies is kind of based on your partnerships with other organizations and the things that are in front of us immediately.
Absolutely. What's important to you is important. What's important to Ashe is important to Power Coalition. What is important, to vote, what's important to Bike and Vote, it's important. Like, I can remember Morgan Walker, she let us know about a city council meeting that was happening that she brought to their attention about the early voting, the free parking for early voting. And I said, okay, and when is it? Okay, and we were there to support on command. And again, we're a small but mighty team, but it matters. What we do, it matters to other people. And it took for me to really stand in it within a year to really see the impact that we have on people, just because I'll be wearing a Power Coalition shirt or something like that. Oh, I know Power Coalition. Oh, I love the work that you do. So it still humbles me.
All right, thank you for that answer, man. Great explanation. All right, next we'll move over to Sessport 5. And Sessport 5, go ahead and introduce yourself to someone that may not know who you are and talk a little bit about the work that you do.
To God be the glory. You hear me? First of all, God is good. God is good. I'm Sessport 5. And one of the co-founders of Third Line Nola, with my guys, Dr. Jeff right here and Entre Abraham, and also 200 male leaders, and then Youth Day Nola, and a number of other entrepreneur businesses, Nothing But Fire, no, Claybone. But Third Line Nola and the 200 male leader organizations, I want to just speak to those because, we came together and started this because males in the city like it was important for us to get the males in the city, you know, organized and involved and getting the young people out to vote, getting brothers like ourselves. So it was real powerful when I heard Solomon, you know, speak about all of the males that's in the room. Like, this is important for me to see us in these rooms. You know, a lot of times it's full of, you know, women and not as many, you know, not as many brothers. And so we got a lot of great people doing great work in this city. And I salute all of the people, you know, on this panel, all of the people in the audience who doing great work in this city. So for us to be able to come together collectively and make the changes that we looking for in this city and make them happen, because, you know, we are the people who help guide us, you know, 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We are those people to the young generation and the next generation, and they're gonna look to us to see how they should move in the future. And so we wanna make sure that we in the rooms, we at the table when they talking about the policies and the things that's happening, so that we not on the menu, because if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And like I see the work that all the people in this room are doing, and I just know us coming together and being more collective, we can make, you know, greater advances for our city and our culture and our kids who the future.
All right, and my question to you, along with all the other organizations that you work with, you actually worked with the Hip Hop Caucus for a long time, and the Hip Hop Caucus, a national organization fighting for climate, racial, and economic justice. One of the questions that I want to ask about the Hip Hop Caucus is, what is your role with the Hip Hop Caucus in New Orleans, and what is some of the work that you guys are doing with the Hip Hop Caucus when it comes to the importance of voting?
So I've been working with the Hip Hop Caucus for probably about 15 years. They started with the Vote or Die, you know, campaign a long time ago, and they saw the work that I was doing with the Katrina anniversary, and so they're an organization out of D.C., and me being a hip hop artist in this city, you know, doing this work, I'm one of the, you know, first artists who got active, especially, you know, after Katrina. And, you know, they do a lot of climate justice work. And so Katrina to them was a climate justice, you know, incident, and it affected the whole Gulf South. And so, you know, those organizations, they got resources, and, you know, they partner with us, the New Orleans Katrina Commemoration Foundation, and help do the work on that end. And then we partner with the Vote or Die work and just help amplify their voice in this city. And then that Vote or Die campaign changed to the Respect My Vote campaign. So they have a campaign called Respect My Vote. They actually launching it again this year at the 19th annual Katrina March and Second Line on Saturday, August 31st. So they'll be here in New Orleans, join with us for that particular event. But, you know, they have a national organization. We all connected in Louisiana, one of them states that, you know, can definitely, you know, swing different, you know, elections and stuff like that. So we just partnered and we do a lot of work together, and they committed to the state of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans to amplify our voice as it relates to voting also.
That's what's up. Give it up for Sis for Five and his answer. Also, at this point in time, I want you guys to give a big round of applause for all of the panelists and their organizations and the work that they do. At this current time, I have a series of questions that I want to ask you guys that's going to specifically talk about the importance of voting. All right, and what we'll do is I'll ask a question and we'll go down the panel, and each one of you guys could give us your answer as best as you see fit. My first question is, on the radio, oftentimes when I am doing shows, I hear so many of our citizens just frustrated, just fed up with the system. And with election, we have a national election coming up. We also have some local elections that's coming up that are very important. My question to the panel would be, in your way, what would you do or say to change the mindset of the frustrated voter, the person that feels like their vote don't count and the system is just not working for them and things are not going their way and they want to give up?
First thing I tell them to do, my little cousin just DM'd me earlier about some national stuff. And I asked, I was like, what does the president do? And it took her a while to get back to me because I'm pretty sure she was researching it. But a lot of times we will want people to do something, not knowing the seat that they sit in and then what the capacity that seat holds. And quick story, a friend of mine was mad about Nord funding being stripped some years back. And he wanted to just be mad at the mayor. And I was like, okay, rightfully so, but you got 7 other people to be mad at as well. I say once a year, whoever is on the right side of the second floor has to come in front of the city council with their budget for the city. And the council has the right to redline that budget. And they can allocate funds from this part to over here. I watched when she was about to reallocate some money, because she didn't necessarily take, but that's a long story. She was about to reallocate some money from Nola to another spot. I watched them triple the Nola budget in that meeting. And so the city council has power that a lot of people do not know that they have. And so when it comes down to it, you can be mad at whomever you want. You could be upset and frustrated that these people aren't doing what's in the best interest of the community. Well, what are you doing about it? Your vote is the floor, not the ceiling. And also, as someone, we always say these people work for us. Well, you're a bad supervisor. You're a bad boss. If you are not checking in, I have employees. I'm not a micromanager. They can tell you that. However, I do want updates on what's going on. I need to know what's going on at the end of the day, because I'm the one that have to deal with the clients. I'm the one the money got to come through me. And them people want the bang for their buck. And so, all right, you voted for this person. How often are you talking to them? How often are you at their office? How often are you at these city council meetings and other, or are you checking in? That's what is necessary. So you can be frustrated all you want. Faith without works is dead. So frustration without works is on life support.
Yeah, for me, I just think the citizens have to get more involved. You know what I'm saying? And also get more educated, because, as Monique said, a lot of people aren't informed on what happens in those politics and those political roles. So education is super important, and then us sharing information. So I learn every day, you know what I'm saying? I learn from a lot of the people on the panel, a lot of people in the audience, and it's important that we share information with people, because a lot of times you can assume that they know or they understand, and they just don't. A lot of people just learned about credit. We here to talk about the power of the importance of voting, and some people don't even know, where they polling location at, if they can, help their grandmother fill out, her absentee ballot, different stuff like that. And that's why we here. So it's about just sharing information so that we can educate more people so they understand their particular role in their community to help the people that's on their block first, and then the people that's around the corner in that neighborhood, and then the whole city. But making time, to go to a city council meeting, to go sit in there, go to Baton Rouge and go sit at the state capitol meeting. So like you can't just vote and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? So vote, but also get active and get involved.
Definitely. Yasmini?
I definitely would have to agree with my brother here, Cespo 5, with definitely going to your legislators. Also, just going to the Capitol alone and showing your presence and really listening, you will become educated. And you may not have to be a policy person, but a lot of folks have common sense. And common sense can go a long way. And I say that because listening on this past legislative session and listening on some of those sessions, it angered me. Because you're talking about things that affects us directly and seriously in a major way, as if it's something so minuscule, and that really bothered me. And I'm like, oh no. So I went to calling my mama, I went to calling my grandma, I went to calling everybody, and they be at this point, they're like, yes, all right, you're getting on my nerves. But at the same time, they still listen. So, and I do have folks in my family that, are voters that are angered and, frustrated. I get all of that. First and foremost, you have to vote. And not only just on a national level, on a local level, because that's the things that affects you the most. When you're talking about utilities, when we're talking about, statewide, talking about your insurance and things like that, and the insurance crisis, like we are going through real things. And, like go back to my statement, sitting in on those sessions, listening, putting in testimonies, written or verbal, filling out green cards, whether you support a bill or not, filling out red cards, whether you don't support it or not, and you want to go against it. So it's ways that we can do and things that we can do to help. But again, if you don't go vote, you necessarily don't have no voice. It's a real thing.
Now, I am going to kind of follow up behind that answer and ask you to go a little bit deeper, because a lot of the times what I'm dealing with, when I say the frustrated voter, it's the person that lost faith in the system. And I think a lot of the things that you guys are saying are very good answers. But if I have lost faith in the system, how do you get me to go to a city council meeting? How do you get me to go to the state council? I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I don't want to have nothing to do with it.
Well, that goes in the thing, as in saying you have to meet people where they're at. I'm not going to, and at the same time, and within the work that we do, you don't want it to be within, so far as Power Coalition, we definitely don't want a relationship with the community that's transactional. We want to build a relationship with the people in the community. We want to build trust. And so far as, like you said, so far as like just angry and just mad and just, I get that. We all are. But again, when you have going to those listening sessions, having those people come and sit in and listen to what you have to say, meaning, okay, we have all of this going on, but this is how it affects me. This is what's going on in my house. And then also you can't expect people to go vote and go do this and that when they don't have no lights, they don't have no water, their car not going right, or they don't have nobody to watch their kids. It's real life out here. So I understand that, but at the same time, you have to make the move somewhere. You have to pick a starting place to get there. And you have to hold these people accountable for sure.
Good answer. I love the whole idea of meeting them where they're at. I do. I like that idea. We'll move over to Bernice.
Yes.
All right, we'll move over to you. What's your strategy, man? We have the frustrated voter out of here, the person they don't want nothing to do with politics. What's your game plan? How we get those people to vote?
All right. I think I might have to offer a new perspective on the question that you're asking. I believe that it is as equally powerful to, well, first I want to say this. I think if someone is coming to you frustrated as a voter or not so much, right? I think it's important for us to honor their feelings, honor their perspective, and honor where they're coming from. And so in understanding that maybe the frustration is fueled by not feeling represented by the ballot or on the ballot, or just generally that the two-party system that we have is insufficient, and often than not, those people who are running don't often reflect the values of the people or the interests of the people. And then I think it also starts with once the acknowledgement is there, right? Acknowledging the frustration, the next step would then be to come to sort of understanding and by way of understanding, coming to organize, right? The efforts that they have or the disinterest that they have, and really pinpointing how to move forward. I think that, like, for example, I had an experience with this 17-year-old at Pathways. We were doing this interactive workshop, and this guy was saying that he doesn't want to vote. He doesn't understand the power of voting, and he seemed very disinterested, disconnected, sort of like fed up with the system. And we were having conversations about, like, what does it mean for us to be in community, right? Oftentimes I felt like this kid who was expressing his thoughts and feelings didn't feel as though he was heard, you know? And that's upsetting and disappointing, because if we have this initiative to want people to vote, right, as they should or as they ought to, it is equally important to remember who we are doing it for, you know? So I think if someone is frustrated and that frustration is sort of festering, right, without some sort of direction as to what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, it becomes more cumbersome than it is effortless to get out and actually do the thing, like voting, so.
All right, man, give her a round of applause for that answer. You said a couple things. You said a couple things that I like in that particular answer, and one of them I think is just hearing them. I thought that was dope when you say, "Hey, I'm gonna listen. I just want to hear what they got to say." All right, we're gonna go to Mr. Ronald on that particular question.
Yeah, so when you talk about frustrated voters, I mean, if you tell a frustrated voter that they're about to take the food stamps and that don't move them to the polls, nothing's not going to move them to the polls. So I'm not going to waste my time on one frustrated voter when I got 1,000 voters who are willing to go to the polls. I'm not about to waste my time on one frustrated voter trying to get him to change his mind when he's frustrated. He's been beat down by the system for the last 10, 20 years. They got people who will never go to the polls. And we have to accept that fact. Just like I know they got people in prison who will never get out of prison. Everybody's incarcerated right now. Most of them going to die in prison. That's a fact. And we have to accept the fact that some people in our society will never go to the polls. That is a fact. So why should I, as an activist or an advocate, waste my time on one frustrated voter who would never move when they got 1,000 movable voters? I can't do it.
Good answer. I like it. I like it. Last but definitely not least, Morg, and I think you kind of challenged this ideology on an everyday basis with the work that you do. But give us your answer. You have the frustrated voter or the frustrated citizen. They've lost faith in the system. What's your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, what we encounter dealing with young people, and I wouldn't say they're frustrated. It's just sometimes they're, just defeated, right? Or just, hopeless in a sense. So the work that we're doing and how we look at it is just not giving up on each other, right? Because it's times where even doing the work, you do feel like, am I even making some type of impact or, making some type of progress? But we try to just switch it up, switch the messaging, switch how we're, delivering the information, because it's just, you do have a lot going on with life. So a lot of the times with all these different distractions, and you can't really focus on, because I feel like voting is like a proactive step too. It's like you predicting that something that could possibly happen if this person get elected. So sometimes when you in that
immediate sense of like you got to get things done, you're not really thinking about the future per se. So just kind of putting that information in people's peripheral and on their mind can spark that, okay, let me go vote. It's not that sometimes they don't want to vote, it's just they're discouraged, they forgot about it, think, life is lifing. So at our organization, we definitely focus on creative messaging and just, like I said, not giving up on the person that do feel discouraged or, like, oh, I voted for this person last time and it didn't work out. But, we like to look at the victories of a person that you did, who stand for the same core values as you that won by 10 votes in your city, because those type of things happen. Or, lost by, a candidate that you really like lost by 65 votes or something like that. So it's like your vote counts, your vote matters. So just highlighting different victories and things like that is another thing our organization focus on, because a lot of people are putting out scare tactics and just like I don't really like the fear politics. I like the motivational politics, to where we can see, like, if we really mobilize and we get together and we can make real change, we could really change people's lives. And I think seeing that, to me, is really what gives me that extra, like, okay, like, if I can galvanize 1,000 people to go party, it's like, it's no way that we can't tackle issues that we all are concerned about. Because that's how we're gonna see the change. So yeah, I think just keep putting that information in their face, the victories, the people that look like you that's doing the work. Like, the people that's been through what you've been through, still we making time to make sure your child is, straight, our grandmothers are straight, just keep putting that information and not giving up on them like that. So I think that's what it's going to take to get the people who are discouraged and disappointed or whatever, mad. Because anything you do in life, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to get mad at business, anything you put your mind to. So it's like, this is voting and politics and policy. All of this is no different. And I'm learning that because personal relationships have also gained me, my pathway to policy and different things that I'm doing now. Because I never, like, you would have asked me this 5 years ago, I would never thought I would be creating laws and, just learning about this kind of things. But it's exciting, and to see, it's empowering more than anything to know, like, I can leverage a friendship and empower my community. So that's what's like, when people start realizing that, you're not gonna just be focused on like yourself. You're gonna say, I can use my influence and my relationships to better my whole community, because then it creates this cycle where everybody is pretty much moving in a positive, progressive direction. So, and I'm saying all this because this really what type of time I'm on currently. Just holding my peers accountable. We have so much influence and power. So it's like getting them to and it's like, it's fun working through it, because it's like, I see y'all have the power to do a lot of things, but it's like, if we also shift these focuses on community efforts and making this community better in particular, it'll trickle effect in Baton Rouge and Lake Charles and Shreveport, and then boom, we're gonna look up Louisiana is one of the top states, so I think we have to just not give up on each other and continue to motivate each other in that type of way. So that's it.
All right, great answer. Give it up, give it up, give it up for your panelists, man. Give it up. All right, now that we've broke the ice and we've warmed the room up, we're gonna pick up the pace a little bit. I have some more intense questions that I wanna get to. So with that being said, I wanna ask each panelist if we could, we're gonna pick up the pace a little bit. And audiences, make sure at this point in time, you're writing down your own questions and things that you wanna ask the panelists. All right, thank you. We got some questions here, and I'll be going through some of those questions. All right, my next question, one of the things that each one of you guys talked about was education as far as the system is concerned. Now, here in Louisiana, not only do we have a major national election that's coming up, but also around the country, we have a lot of local elections that are about to happen. I think it's 435 seats or something that could change. And then in city council, if I'm not mistaken, each city council seat could possibly change. With that being said, what can we do to strengthen our efforts in making sure that everyday people understand the difference between a national election and a local election and how each one of them work? Like, so we all talked about, man, we need to educate the people, but in each one of you guys' opinion, give us some ideas and strategy of how we can do a better job of explaining this to people that don't understand. This is how the national elections work. This is how local politics work. And we'll start off with Mr. Ronald.
So, you know, if you do this work as much as I do this work, you'll realize that people suffer with what is called time poverty. People don't have time to be educated about local politics or national politics. It's just impossible. We're dealing with time poverty today. No matter how, you can put 20 organizations in a room and get all 20 of these organizations to go out and do voter registration, voter raise awareness. They can do events from uptown to downtown to across the river. And that room gonna look just like this room look right now. Just like this. No chair should not be empty in a room that we're sitting in. We're talking about the importance of voting. This is time poverty right here. People are distracted. People at home with the children, they couldn't make it. In a city with almost 500,000 people, just like in a prison, and I'm gonna reference because that's my life. You got a law library, a prison law library. And it's empty every day. And it's empty like this in a lot of the rooms that we go in. This room should be packed, standing up, every people standing up. I guarantee you, from CAF to Bike and Vote, they see the emptiness in their own spaces. People just don't have time, or like the question was, they're frustrated. So if people are not coming out to get the message, then how can we even educate them about the difference between national elections and local elections? That's our problem, man. Our people are being downtrodden, they're being beat down, inflation is killing them. So it's hard. It's hard. We're doing the best we can with what we have. An organization as big as Vote, even in our spaces that Vote, no matter how far our messages go out, 6 people are only coming in. You understand what I'm saying? Only 6 people are only coming in. I go to events around the state every day. I'm talking, speaking, and the room have less people than this. And I'm like, why am I here? Why am I talking to 5 people in a county with 50,000 people? Where are the people? It's impossible to raise awareness about national and local elections when the people are not even coming out. It's hard, bro. This work not easy, man. If you do this work every day, you know that this work is not easy. We talk that talk, it makes it sound sexy, but it's not easy at all. This work is hard, it's painful, and guess what? Our people, like she said, we can't give up on our people. Guess what? Our people have given up on themselves. So I don't go to these panels and talk the talk. I'm gonna give you the real. Our people have given up on themselves. They don't give a shit about that election. They don't care who get in office. They don't care if Kamala or President Trump raised himself getting off. They don't care about that. Talk to the Democrats that I talk to in this city, they will never go to a poll. They don't care. They don't care, man. I'm talking about the real street dudes that's in the hood. They don't care about no vote, but we need their vote. We need them. But they don't care about no vote. They don't give a shit about no politics. They don't care who going to city council office, who going to the mayor's office. They don't care about none of that. Because know how they feel? No decision they make on Capitol Hill, on the city council is going to trickle down and impact them lives. They have never seen the impact of nothing the city council did or the mayor did, and they've been in the city for the last 50 years. And you wonder why they have given up on themselves or given up on the government? Because they don't feel the impact. They just don't feel it. But guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to continue to do this work every day I wake up. I ain't gonna never give up on them, but they have given up on themselves.
Yeah. I thank you for your answer. What was your name?
Mr. Ronald.
Mr. Ronald. I think there is a larger systemic issue as to why our people aren't moved or impacted or feeling as though maybe inspired to go out to the polls, right? And I think that it's strategic, you know? I think if we want to see people out and voting, it has to begin at a very, like a grassroots level. And I also think it has to be dealt with at a more intentional level, right? So we see how the laws and these policies are being pushed through, banning books, right? Banning certain studies in these schools. And I think that speaks to the issue, right? I think that if more of our people were educated and not I feel like most of our people are like desensitized by how the local and national local and national policies shift the way in which we live. But I think I kind of it's like a question for the audience, but I don't know if that's appropriate right now. But it's like, if you felt the need to want to go out, or lack thereof, to go out and cast your ballot, why is it that the next person, because I think that's kind of the consensus that we have on the panel, it's like, well, I can't stress about one person not being ready or moved or compelled to cast their ballot or vote on either local or national, on a national level. But to me, it's important to move as a cohesive unit. And that means no person is left behind. And so the question is, what could we do as a collective to inspire an action that leaves us all moved to do something about our laws and what's happening in the city?
So I just want to share my perspective, to your question, Don, on the national, local election period. I just think citizens got to see themselves in that issue so that they feel passionate about it. So before I got into, doing this organizing work, right, I used to see a lot of my elders on TV doing this work. And I would click the channel because I didn't see myself in that. So if they had a protest, they had an event or whatever, and it's on the news and they talking whatever they talking, I don't see nobody look like me. I'm going to BD, the box, whatever. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's so important when you got a diverse panel of people like this here that you can see all generations. We got the young people, we got men, women, you know what I'm saying? We got the elders. So it's about making an intergenerational fight and people can see themselves. So like a lot of the panelists say, from growth, from when we started in Morgan, the nightlife. I'm in the nightlife. So people see us a little different from the people that always do this. When you got the people that's, always in that realm, and then you got somebody who make this look sexy. You know what I'm saying? So it's about like when Obama got in office and was running, we ain't had no black person. He made the whole election piece look sexy. Everybody want to vote. You know what I'm saying? And so now you got people who are not the norm getting involved in this work. And so people like, damn, Mark throw the dopest parties and she doing this. I see myself in that. Cess and all them they doing. So now they see themselves so they could be a part of that. I was in a meeting with the state representative the other day, and he explaining all the bags that they got out here and all of the politics and the things that happen. I'm a street just like this. I got going on, you hear me? I'm not changing who I am when I go around these people so they can see. So our people, when they see us, and I'm standing next to the councilman, the president, I don't care who they is, you're going to see you when this go on the news or whatever, so you could know that's an issue that I'm affected by. You feel me? And so I think that's the way we get the people involved, they gotta see themselves in the issue. So if you don't make this an everyday thing, you know what I'm saying?
I love it, man. Good answer, good answer. I was kind of thinking that in my mind, because one of the things that I have seen being on the radio, and I have a very engaging show, I give people an opportunity to express themselves. See, when I started telling people, well, you know they're gonna get rid of good time. Well, you know ain't no more parole. Man, how that happen? Now, after that happened and you start putting that information out there, I did see a lot more people being more concerned. Well, how that happened, Don P? Well, y'all ain't gonna vote. The governor put it in Congress, they passed it, right? So I agree with that as far as that's concerned. I'm gonna flip it up. Anybody else want to respond on that question, or y'all ready to move to the next one?
Yeah, I just want to just follow with Seth. Just give an example to that, what Seth spoke about making the issue central to the election or the candidate or the campaign. Devontae Lewis is a prime example of how we made the free prison phone thing central to his campaign. And because of that, we was able to oust a 17-year incumbent, because incarceration impacts 380,000 people in this state alone. 300.
Thank you. Know a little something about that, huh, Bob?
We was able to make that issue central to his campaign. He came in that office, we sat down and we talked to him, and we said, this is what we're gonna do, man. In order for you to win against Bazier, you need this demographic of people. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the prison phone campaign central to your campaign. And once everybody realized that this guy here was gonna make the phones in prison free, everybody got out to vote. And he blew Bazier out, blew him out. So when I said, if you tell someone that they're taking food stamps, that was my example of making that issue central to an election campaign. Just imagine if there was a candidate saying, yes, I'm gonna take the food stamps when I get in office. And you let the whole community know, everybody know that that candidate there is talking about taking food stamps, y'all. Guess what's gonna happen? Everybody gonna get out their vote. So we have to find those little issues like that that we make central. And you have to make it central in a way that it, because one thing about our communities in New Orleans, and I'm gonna say this, I'm a native New Orleanian, I'm not a transplant. I'm from here. And I have the same traumas that my grandmother had because she's from here. Native New Orleans people, we have a different type of trauma. If you was here in them 80s and them 90s, you know the trauma I'm talking about. Our communities have a different type of pain, a different type of trauma. But if you can get them to see the gratification of that vote, they'll get out that vote. They will get out the vote. But you got to make it central to their families, to their community. Show them that you're taking food out their mouth. The water's going to get turned off. The
Give it up, 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 give it up for our panelists, man. All right, now we getting cooking. Now we getting cooking in this thing. And this next question, I think will get everybody a little interested. I think about this event that we had today. And it was very striking to me when they opened up this event and they said, at this time, we would like to acknowledge any elected officials or public servants, right? We really didn't see anybody, right? Nobody stood up. Nobody said anything. And so that brings me to my next question. In your opinion, do you think elected officials really respect the citizens of New Orleans? And if your answer is no, how do we make them respect the citizens of New Orleans? And I had an add-on or a side note on this question, and I said, this is definitely excluding the who's who, and it's also excluding voting time. So if I'm not a who's who, a person of status, if it's not election time, do you feel like the elected official really respect the everyday citizen and the vote of the citizen? And if the answer is no, what do we do to make them respect it?
I don't know why I chose to go first, but I'll answer it the best way I can in my thoughts. I would say, honestly, no, because I'm a voter and I'm a citizen. I'm a person that's in the community. I'm all these things. So, from my opinion, no, they don't respect us, just because, like you said, no one is here. But at the same time, that's not going to stop me from doing my duty to have them responsible and to hold them accountable. Now, I will say this. A lot of relationships, so far as like you said, around voting or like elections and things like that, is transactional. And that's why I said you don't want it to be transactional. So you don't want them around when it's voting time or when you're campaigning or something like that. So I definitely feel a way about that. And like I said, doing this work, you see it on a day-to-day basis, and realizing and seeing that a lot of relationships and a lot of things that get passed or a lot of things that get stopped is based on relationships. And like you said, so far it's like the who's who and those the upper echelon folks, but at the same time, those folks are not really being affected by it. It's us on the ground, the everyday people. Yeah, I do this work, but I'm a working mom. I have all these things. I have bills just like everybody else do. So I'm seeing things from a dual point of view. I see both sides. And when I've seen that other side and see how things can be changed just based off of relationships and things can really be changed from a phone call, I don't feel comfortable in that. And that's why, part of the reasons why I do what I do and I stand in it. And it's not always, like Mr. Ronald said, this work is not easy. So when you have a lot of things coming against you, I still don't let that discourage me from reaching one person. One person is good enough for me.
Kev?
So my answer, and I kind of hate being in a gray area, but normally this is where we are. You can say they don't respect us, but here's what I will say. So a little education. There are 7 council people. 2 of them are at large, so we'll exclude them, but I'll bring them back in later. Every council district has about 70,000 people. How many people have more than one child in this room? I have 3 children, 15, 13, and 6. Yeah. Imagine if I actually had to birth them. But my wife and I, we have 3 children. And I there's no way that I can be at every single thing for all of my children. And this is not giving the political figures an excuse. This is, again, just educating you on what's going on. In my district, I'm in District D. I'm in what I call the heartbeat of the district, of the city. Because District D is the only district that every other district touches. There's no other district in the city that will touch all 5 districts. And there are things that goes on in the district for all types of people. And as much as he is not my favorite council person, and I rarely speak out against him publicly because I ran against him, and I don't want to look like no hater, but he doesn't do a whole lot. However, no one really challenges him. And that is one of the main things that we have to deal with. As Kev, people have called me all types of shit. I'm loud, I'm wild, I'm whatever. Okay, cool, all right. I've learned to take it. But I can call my council people, and I can get a phone call, I can get a text through, because I don't have to be your friend. I can respect you. I can be respectful to you. But you're going to hear from me until the thing and the issue that I need done is handled and it is addressed. And that's where we fall off with even worrying about if someone is, I don't need you in my face every day. I don't need you to text me and call me every day. I need you to go to work. I don't need you in my face. Go do the job that I put you there for. Even if I didn't put you there, I don't give a damn. I didn't vote for you. Oh well, you still represent me. What have you done for me lately? They don't come to our shit, excuse my language, y'all. They don't come to our stuff because they don't have the fear in their hearts of us. It's beyond the respect situation. Like straight up, you don't have to like me. My aunt taught me this. You don't have to like me. You don't even have to respect me. Long as you don't disrespect me. That's my main thing. Long as you don't disrespect me. And they do not have fear for our votes in their hearts. Joe Biden, when he first was running, he said his dad was outside mowing the lawn, and a new neighbor came in. Came into the neighborhood, and his dad's name is Joe as well, and he was telling them, Joe, I'm this type of man, I'm this, I'm that. And his dad was like, okay, show me your wallet. Wherever you spend your money, that's where your value system lies. And we can do the same thing as adults. Look at your debit card at the end of the week. Wherever you spend the most money at, 9 times out of 10, that's your priority. We have to look at that same thing on the flip side with our elected and selected officials. Where are they getting their money from? Where you getting your money from is where you will go. The most people that are getting in your stuff, that's where you will be. And until we become those type of people, no, we don't have to burn it down, but we have to be very, very present on a daily basis in some shape, form, or fashion. And what's so crazy is it don't have to be all of us. When in city council, and I'm gonna use votes that here, when that blue shirt come into a room, they know what it is. Shout out to the elder Norris Henderson and the rest of the vote. Norris don't have to be in that room. He comes, because he wants to, but he don't have to be in the room. They know what he's about when that blue shirt walks in. So until you have made an impact in that manner, I don't give a damn if they come here to this event or not. What are you doing for my community? And until we strike that type of fear in their heart, they'll never come to anything like this because it's not a priority to them.
Let me speak on that question real quick. The question is, do our elected officials respect us? I think the most disrespectful thing that the city council has done to the people of New Orleans was the Clean Zone Act. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember how it worked? It was totally disrespectful to the natives in this community who work every single day in that zone trying to make a living. But yet they wanted to delegate the power to Essence Corporation to decide who can make money in this zone. That is disrespectful. And we have to hold people like that accountable. You can't forget that. When it's time to cast your ballot, You got to remember who was pushing that Clean Zone Act on the people. We got a problem. We got a thing of amnesia. We forget when they do us wrong, and when it's time to vote, we vote for them and forget all the wrong they did us. We got to stop doing that. You got to hold them accountable, all of them. You talking about they're disrespectful? Hell yeah, they're disrespectful to the community. Even the state reps, all of them disrespectful. All 7 of them. The 2 at-large and the other 5, they're disrespectful. You want to talk about it? We got to talk about it. I'm not term limit.
Yeah.
I am not time limit.
So
I'm going to be doing this fight until the rest of my life. They're going to be long gone, and we're going to know what they need in the city? They need a redistribution of a redistricting of the districts. The districts was decided when we couldn't even vote. When black people couldn't even vote, them districts was decided. And you got one man with 100,000 people he wants to know. Ain't nowhere in the world he can be fair. It's time to break it down. We need a redistribution of the district. We don't need 7, we need 13. You want to talk about it? We need 13.
Give it up for Brother Ronald, man. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
4-5, you want to conclude on this question?
Yeah, so I just wanted to. Hey, so I just wanted to definitely respect my elders. You heard me? No, it's love. I'm gonna shut up when you talking love. Real talk. So for me, it's real simple. You know what I'm saying? You know, some of them respect us and some of them don't. But this, in a lot of events like this, it ain't even for them. You know what I'm saying? This is for us, the people, the citizens. This is the importance of voting. This for us to educate each other and to educate ourselves and educating our community. Like, that's what this is for. Making sure that, you know, we, the people who go to the city council meetings, to the state capitol, come back with that information and then share it with us. So the things that we learn and the things that we growing on, we sharing that with our people. And so, like, even me and my brother, like, when we do the Katrina anniversary, we don't even let politicians talk. You can't even come speak at one of our events because it ain't for them. This for the people. This for the community. When you talk about grassroots stuff, that's for us.
I like that. I like that answer. And real quickly, I know we are looking at the time. We got about 3 minutes, and I did want to address this. This is something that comes up on my radio show all the time. When talking about, I have so many people on my radio show that say we need to have our own. We need to be self-governing. We need to be doing our own thing. My question is, when we talk about self-governing and doing our own thing, what does that look like in participation with the system? Because we operate every day in a country that have a system. So what does this have our own self-governing look like within the system, and how does this work together? You want to start it off, Seth?
Well, so the community have to be able to address the needs of the community. So it's not necessarily like working with the government or whatever. Like, we have to create our own infrastructure for every issue that affect our community totally. But we still have to advance, you know what I'm saying? And you got to have your spook that's set by the door. You know what I'm saying? You still got to have the people that's making those advancements for the greater good of the community, though. You know what I'm saying? But, like, we got to be self-sufficient, man. We keep growing, people advancing and getting, you know, the education, the entrepreneurs. We got so many more millionaires in this city. Like, life is getting better for some of the people, and they sharing and redistributing the wealth and the information. The information is what's the most important part, the knowledge. And so, like, a lot of us that's sitting up here and in the audience, man, we not the same people we were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So that growth, we got to share and build up the community from the ground up to where we don't necessarily need the funding from the government for any issue. If something going on as it relates to, you know, a hurricane, evacuations, event, we had the spaces already, you know what I'm saying, for shelters and all of that. So we got to build those infrastructure pieces, and then, you know what I'm saying, also get our people who are advancing to, you know, support and make way for the others.
You know, thank you, Mom.
I've been asking them for years to break down that district. They don't want to hear that because they want to be able to cut things. They cut deals and so much money came under the table that he got no money to be the police for teaching. And I stood up and I told him, I said, you see where you come from? You come from Memphis, Tennessee, and Martin Luther King blood was shed there. And you was in that group was singing, we finally got our nigga teacher. Right. She was one of them. And now it went to God. Y'all gonna know it, children. Everybody got paid to get up to the except one. And the only reason why he didn't take the money, because he was afraid if they find out, he'd go to prison. This man has struggling a long time. I hate to cut y'all up like this. And then I say,
Speak well, man.
when Dutch L'Oreal come to my house and said, Maria, I want to be the leader. I said, you're going to be right. Well, you're going to be right, but I had a radio show. I had the most popular show in the city. And Dutch L'Oreal said, you know what we got? They told us we got 22,000 votes for Dutch. You know what we found out later? We got over 50 or 60,000. There were still votes. Black people who was in a voter registration office would give them votes and sell them. And the rest of all my children. I'm listening to my children on the stage. I'm listening to y'all. That's what you're going through because these people are just honest. Right. I ain't never took a penny from nobody, nothing. And that's why I'm living with. God gave me my money. You understand? And don't y'all give up. You're on the brink of a miracle. Just keep your mind strong. Don't never let us get in and took your money. Never.
Lord. Really embarrassing.
You know, I'll be hell I can take any money. Every wife will help me.
Man, give it up for the audience participation. I really appreciate that brief monologue. Short amount of time, but very impactful in the things that you're talking about. At this point in time, out of respect for the time, I want to give each panelist an opportunity to give their closing remarks, and I would ask that each one of you guys, we be respectful of the time of the event and make sure that we stay as close to that as possible.
I appreciate y'all hearing me tonight. If you know someone in your community who is not civically engaged, have a conversation with them. Each one teach one. Everywhere, have a conversation about voting. It's important that we vote. We're not living in a time where we got to pick up guns to get what we want. All we got to do is cast a ballot today. That ballot is what feeds us. You have to let people know how important it is to get out that vote. It's very, very, very important. So get out the vote, talk to your neighbors, talk to your family. Don't let no one walk past you without engaging them civically about voting.
Peace, y'all. My last final statement can kind of be what I was about to say with the answer. It's sacrifice. The reason the communities that we see that have their own, that are self-governed, is because they sacrifice for the greater good. You know, we don't have to do everything that we see done by other folks in order to live comfortable, in order to live good. If we can just sacrifice for a little small time, we can have everything we need. Peace and blessings. We got work to do.
More.
Thank you. Well, I guess my closing remarks would be just to, I want to extend Bike and Vote to everyone as a vessel to reach people and audiences that you need to get information to that you normally wouldn't get information to. Because I would say this, we have a small but mighty team at Bike and Vote, and every young person that works with us uses their influence to really impact and get out information about other voting organizations, information that needs to be retained by the young people. So I really want to just put an emphasis on, you know, I started Bike and Vote, with the platform of impact over influence. So we're really a vessel for everyone here in Louisiana. It's like small, whether you feel like you have an issue that you want to put on the forefront, we accept DMs, emails, just to, get the word out there. And we just want to extend our platforms to everyone here. So like I said, even if you're just an individual with a concern or something like that, Bike and Vote is a safe space to where we hear you and that we can definitely help you to create that, make that impact and make that change. And we're a vessel for everyone in the community.
Bernice.
So I would like to leave you with this. So I understand that the youth vote is important, but I want to say that beyond the youth vote, it is as equally important to show a deep and invested interest in who the youth are, individually and personally, right? At a very intentional level, because I think oftentimes the youth are disempowered, myself included, with the sort of urgency to want the youth to be at the polls when really they feel as though they aren't heard, just generally speaking. And so if there could be some sort of interest in coming to understand them in their fullness, and their authority and sovereignty, the easier it'll be to allow them, or just to sort of sway them or push them forth into what we all are calling them for, and that is to vote. So,
Thank you. Yas, Monique.
I definitely just want to say it was a pleasure being here and experiencing this panel with you all and you in the audience. I definitely want to say that it's definitely important for us to get out and vote November 5th. Just because you're not only voting for president, but you're also voting, for your Congress as well. And then in December, you also have another election, and that's going to be the runoff election for Congress. So we have to get involved in this, y'all. We can't do it alone. Like we all have the very much understanding of it's hard out here. It's real hard, and we can't do it alone. And again, the goal is to educate, mobilize, folks. And also, just don't forget to, if you are not registered to vote, please register to vote. Please register to vote. You have until October 7th to register to vote in person. Online, it's October 15th. Please use your voice. That is your voice. As much as people try to discredit and try to sway, no, stand in your truth, stand in your power. Thank you.
Thank you. Successful 5.
So the importance of voting, and the first word was just empowered, right? I feel like God gave each and every one of us, free will, right? And it's the power, of having a choice. So you can make that decision, so you can, vote, left, you can vote right, you can, decide what you want to eat, what kind of, vehicle you want to drive, whatever it is. You have that free will, that choice. And when you don't use your vote or exercise your voice, it's like you letting somebody else, control all of those different, things that God gave you. So it's as a, adult, you tell your kids what to eat, but once you become an adult, you make your own decisions on what you gonna eat. So if you let these folks just vote whoever they want into office and you don't use your voice, it's like you just letting somebody else make all the decisions over your life. They make all the decisions over the direction that your life and the trajectory of your life gonna take. And so I just think it's important that we empower our community and we let them know the importance of taking a voice back, of being the author of their voice with their vote, and being able to choose how do they want their life to, play out. And I appreciate everybody for coming out. I just know that all of us collectively, man, can make a big difference. So if you see the Power Coalition doing something, we need all of these people in this room supporting the Power Coalition and coming up, and because you making your voice and your vote be known with your presence, right now. So when you see the Young Fierce Citizens doing an event, Bike and Vote doing the event, Vote doing the event, 2 Cent, and all of the other great people who doing the work in this city, doing stuff, we need you to use your voice with your presence, use your voice vocally and share the information and come out and galvanize the community and educate them and share, the information. But we just appreciate everybody coming out and use your voice, man. Share, vote, vote, vote.
Give a round of applause for all.